Awesome. I'm gonna start and then I'll introduce you and then we'll go. Cool?
Cool.
Hi there and welcome back to the Redshift Education YouTube channel. My name is Maria Jernigan, founder and CEO of Redshift Education. Redshift is an independent game development studio with a mission, and that mission is to make learning less about memorization and more about hands-on learning and problem solving. Today, I am joined by a very special guest, Marty Hanapole.
Hello.
Marty is the lead developer at Redshift Education, and we are here today in anticipation, Marty, of a very important date. Do you know what that date is?
Indeed. I do know what that date is.
Tell the people at home.
That is our launch date of our very first lesson, La Cuarentena, which is on October 15th.
It is indeed. You've been practicing. And it's worth mentioning that this beta launch is not just open for anybody. No, it is a closed beta. You need to request an invitation and then we will extend one to you. We will talk more about that exclusive offer later. But first, La Cuarentena, for the folks at home, is our first release of Redshift Education's game portfolio, if you will. Marty, what is La Cuarentena about?
So La Cuarentena is about you and your partner who live in this community, and basically you're tasked, you're part of the governor's COVID-19 special task force. So as a result of the pandemic and the quarantine, you and your partner are tasked with going around the community and interviewing different community members and seeing what their problems are, and then collaborating with your partner to figure out solutions for them, and then going around and talking to everyone and offering your ideas.
But there's a twist, and the twist is you're not doing this in your native language. You're doing this all in Spanish, because this is specifically for helping students practice their second language if they're studying Spanish, practicing how to actually communicate in that language, not just memorize a bunch of words in Spanish.
Exactly.
Heck yes, we're all about that active learning here. So, Marty, the people want to know, what do you do at Redshift?
So as you said, I'm the lead developer for Redshift Education, which basically means that I'm responsible for making sure the whole thing works, basically working on the implementation of all the cool features and mechanics that users will go through when they're doing the experience, and just the basic functionality of everything, basically.
So when something doesn't work, we know who to talk to.
Yep.
There's so many different parts that you had to develop in La Cuarentena. The whole team, of course, but as lead developer, you oversee all of it, really. What is one particular moment in the lesson that you're super proud of?
I think it's not really one particular moment in the lesson, but sort of like, I guess, multiple moments that you experience multiple times throughout the lesson. It's just like the general exploration that the users have to go through, just like exploring the community and interacting with your partner to figure out like where you want to go next and what you want to do. And I think I've implemented some pretty cool tools that users can use throughout their experience to help with that exploration piece. And I think that's one of my favorite parts about the whole experience, is just like exploring the whole world that you have and trying to find out what the community's problems are.
How can you help connect the dots for us? Like, how does that help teach Spanish?
So the whole exploration piece really helps with the sort of more conversational Spanish that you're speaking with your partner. So like when you're trying to figure out where to go, we really encourage like talking with your partner in Spanish to sort of communicate the direction that you want to go in the city that you're exploring. And so using those different Spanish phrases to communicate with your partner, I think, is a big piece of the conversational teaching.
Yeah, right, because if you're talking to your friend, you're not just gonna in silence go from point A to point B. Like, hopefully,
Right.
playing with someone else, you're actually gonna be like, hey, you wanna go here or here? Oh, where'd you go? And we're encouraging users to do that fully in Spanish to actually practice some spontaneous conversation. Totally, totally. Okay, so let's talk about this open world concept, if you will, and what that means for a lot of what you had to build. I'm thinking of one thing in particular that we spent so much time on, and we being you and me and some artists. Let's talk about the mini map and the big map.
Yes.
Okay, so
That, yeah,
talk about the
go
map.
ahead. So the map, that was honestly one of my favorite features to develop. It was really cool, just like the whole progression of it. I remember when at the beginning it was like super like thrown together and it was not very good for performance. But I remember the evolution of making it perform better, and then also the integration of the different artists' assets, and then combining all of the artwork and integrating it into the map system to where it's this really cool piece of artwork, but also really functional in helping users navigate through the world.
Is there a particular moment that you remember when we were collaborating on this map that you think is share worthy?
Well, one moment that I do remember when we were collaborating was trying to figure out what markers on the map worked best in determining like, or when like trying to convey like where your partner is at on the map. So I remember having a pretty big debate over which markers we liked the best, and yeah.
Yeah, and I think that kind of brings us to an interesting point that you might not realize unless you're really into game development or if you're on the Redshift team, which is how many different expertise it takes to build something like La Cuarentena. You want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so we have so many different people from all different disciplines that are all collaborating on this one project. Like it's not just me just making like all the features and all the functionality. There's a ton of work done by artists and by usability designers to make sure that the whole experience is really cohesive and intuitive for users. And so it takes a lot to develop these different features for the users to use.
Yeah, and so if you're watching this right now and you want to be one of those people, the first people to see what it's like to go through it, you definitely want to go to redshift-education.com and click on a big red button. You cannot miss it. There's big red buttons all over the website. Click any one of them, input your information. You'll get some more information about how to become a beta tester for us. Since we're on the topic of beta testers, something worth mentioning about what it will be like for those lucky few who end up being our first beta testers on October 15th is that they don't just get to play La Cuarentena and yay, that's done. There's a lot of other parts of the experience of being one of our beta testers, and that's why we're not just calling them beta testers. We've come up with a name for them. We are calling them the Redshifters. And there's all sorts of other stuff they get to do. One is they're the first people ever to see the Redshift Education tutorial. And I know you want to talk about that because that was your very first project that you really sunk your teeth into coming to Redshift.
Ah, yes, the tutorial. What a classic.
Tell us why that phase.
Yeah, so like you said, the tutorial is like the very first lesson that I really worked on at Redshift, and I feel like that application really set the tone and set the tone for like every other subsequent project that I worked on. And I feel like during the development of the tutorial itself, I developed a lot of the backend systems that I'm consistently using in this new lesson, La Cuarentena. So I feel like that lesson really set the foundation for everything that I've been working on.
I'm thinking of a very particular nightmare situation that you and I underwent during testing of the tutorial, now that we're on the topic. I have a tendency to try to fall off the world.
Where are you going? You have to talk to this NPC.
I've never been over here.
Marty's learning that anytime he needs a QA tester,
Oh no!
Maria will gladly
No!
walk into all the walls.
I didn't
Did you just fall again?
You found a fix for that.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, so that was actually also a problem in La Cuarentena.
Yeah,
There
true.
at the edges of the world, you can just sort of like fall off. I would not recommend trying that, but I mean you can. And
Hey, if you sign up to
um,
be beta tester on redshift-education.com by October 15th, you could be the first one to try it.
that's true. But anyway, there are multiple solutions that I like to employ. One is the infamous invisible walls that you put up at the edge of the world. And I know that, like, in the game design community, that's like sort of not not the best solution, but it works. But another one that I really like to employ is that um, in the case that you do get past my invisible walls and you do fall out of the world, I like to have like a little box that'll detect if the user has fallen out of the world and then just reposition them in the correct place.
Users can step off the street or the lawn and then magically be put back safely back where they belong. My favorite character that has ever appeared in a Redshift game is in the tutorial. Do you know which one I'm thinking of?
I think I know which one you're thinking of.
Actually, I have a 50-50 shot that you get this right. What do you think it is?
I think it's Red the dog.
Yes! Yes, that dog is so cute. Okay, another question. Who do you think this game, La Cuarentena, is really for?
I think it's really for those students, or not even students, but just people in general who enjoy speaking Spanish and want to get better at speaking Spanish or want to sharpen up their skills, and also have a friend to play with. Uh, I think it's really for them to be able to experience this new way of learning Spanish in a collaborative and sort of um, hands-on context.
In other words, it's not for people who don't know any Spanish yet. This would
Right.
not be this would not be the experience, although we've got some in the pipeline for those people too.
Right.
Personality-wise, what are some traits of the people you hope will be our very first beta testers?
Um, I hope that they're friendly and um,
You're licensed to be very friendly to Marty. Find things that aren't working.
yeah, no, I hope that they are open to this technology and want to um, provide us with their thoughts on what they think of our experience and are excited about education and learning Spanish.
Yeah, I would throw in a couple others, like people who enjoy innovation and think it's cool to be on the bleeding edge of a new technology and new methods. Open-minded, something you said that I'll echo for sure. And maybe people who are a little bit risky, into risk-taking. Like it's a product that hasn't been fully fleshed out yet. It's a first version. And so we're looking for people who are excited by that. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Cool. Oh, phew, we're on the same page. Awesome. What else can you tease about La Cuarentena, Marty?
I will tease that some of the conversations that you have with the different NPCs have there's quite a bit of backstory in the lore of this community of people. So one thing I'll tease is that you should pay attention to what these people say, and that you might pick up on some funny Easter eggs as you're listening to these different people's conversations.
Very well put. I will agree with that. And that's really interesting because it highlights something we haven't talked about yet. Redshift Education's first released game, La Cuarentena, isn't just about speaking. It's also about reading and listening comprehension, because what you mentioned, NPCs, for viewers, non-player characters, fancy jargon for people who are controlled by the computer and not by a real person. Those people, those characters, they say a lot of stuff. There's a lot of interesting backstory that you alluded to. There's a lot of information you cannot progress unless you understand what they're saying. And so it's not just about mashing through and talking to your partner saying, hey, isn't this fun? Like, you actually do have to read and understand quite a bit of Spanish as well. But we trick them into doing it. It doesn't feel like work. It's not like you're reading a novel in Spanish. It's way more interesting than that, in our humble opinion. Cool, cool, cool. Can you tell us about some part of the journey of developing that was surprising to you? That maybe it was some feature that we discovered rather than planned, or maybe it was something about the process that was unforeseen.
I guess I'll talk about something about the process that was unforeseen. Was that this lesson is pretty big in terms of like the amount of content that's in it. So something that I didn't really anticipate was how much effort it would take to generate all this content and be able to incorporate everything into the main lesson. So it took a lot more effort and time than I was originally anticipating.
And by content, you mean what exactly?
By content, I mean the different, like generating the conversations themselves that you have with these different community members, and what they say, what you have to say back to them, stuff like that.
I mean, you built this whole back system for how to deal with all of these different dialogues that we had to write. Can you say more about why that surprised you, or what kind of challenge that led to?
So I think part of the reason that I was surprised was, like you said, I wrote this back end for writers to incorporate their writing into the lesson for these community members to say. And I think
We mean the people on the Redshift team who were
right,
authoring all the conversations, all the backstory with all the Easter eggs that you talked about.
right. So I wrote the back end for that system, and then I guess it was sort of surprising that how long it took for them to actually like use the system and then use it to author their works, and then also test it in the main lesson to make sure that everything ran smoothly. I think that was one thing that surprised me. Yeah.
So what you're saying is you're not going to get bored quickly playing this game. There's plenty of conversation content. There's plenty of dialogue variation to be had. That's what I'm hearing.
Yep.
And again, those who sign up before now on our website, redshift-education.com, will get first access to that as beta testers on October 15th. Have we said that enough times?
I don't think so.
I personally have a couple students in my Spanish classes that are aspiring game developers and game designers. You're at the start of your journey in this field. What do you say to them?
I say to them that this is a really cool industry to work in. And like, I feel like this is the intersection of like programming and design and art. Like this, it's a really cool industry because of how it's this sort of intersection of all these different disciplines that I feel like creates a product that's unlike anything else. So I would say to them I would encourage them to pursue it. There's plenty of tutorials online where you can get started and learn. So yeah, it's a really cool hobby and really cool industry to work in.
We talked about we started to talk about the different elements that our Redshifters will have first access to on October 15th. Those who sign up on our website to become beta testers, they become Redshifters. They get La Cuarentena, the main lesson in which that we've been talking about all night. They get access to the tutorial, as we just mentioned. They also get direct access to you, Marty. That's right, you at home, as Redshifters, you get direct access to Marty's ear, because when you find stuff that is broken, this guy wants to know all about it. You'll also get the direct ear of our 3D artists and our 2D artist and me and our cybersecurity magician. That's right, like you as a Redshifter will be directly in communication with all of us. And so if you have an interest in game design, what better way to find a mentor than through this program, I would say.
For sure.
And sure, I just volunteered you for that. Is that fine?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
All right, Marty, what final thoughts do you have for this beta launch? What are your hopes? What are your dreams? What message do you want to send the people off with tonight?
Well, I just hope that you guys will sign up on or before the 15th.
Yes, before.
And
Sign up right now. What's that website again, Marty?
Redshift-education.com.
In the description, link below.
Yeah, so I hope you guys will sign up, and I hope that you will enjoy the lesson that we created for you guys, and hope that you learn some Spanish out of it. And as always, if you have bugs that you find or issues that you have with it, feel free to shoot us a ticket or an email.
And directions will be coming directly to our Redshifters about how to do that. So to recap, if you have taken 3 or more years of Spanish in school, or if you've self-taught to about an intermediate level, and you are loving what you have heard tonight, you've got to go to the website, Marty?
Redshift-education.com.
And what color is the button they should click, Marty?
Bright red.
Funny how that works. And that will take you to a sign-up page to tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll take it from there. Marty, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thanks for having me.